Doctors,
Yeah,
back in the day, cigarettes are good for you. You should smoke. Cigarettes are good for you. And then 30 years later, people are getting lung cancer, tar in the lungs, and then they're all like, oh, no, cigarettes are bad. Don't smoke cigarettes. You trust it. It's like, okay, great example. I fucking love this one. Nobody had until they started testing for it. Nobody did. It was the flu before then. It's the same thing that's been around forever, but everybody trusted the doctors and believed them and locked themselves in their house. They stopped doing the things they enjoy. They stopped seeing the people they loved because the doctor said it was bad and bad. And yes, okay, sure, some people did get sick and die, but that happens every year with the flu. It happens every year. I think it was just a backlog of like masks and hand sanitizers and like gloves. They just made way too many, and the corporate elites are all like, okay, guys, we need to sell this shit. So tell everybody that there's some crazy virus going around. A cover for genocide, even. Yeah, like you're right, Randy. Randy said that.
Well, it's not only
that was a joke.
I would say it's not only a cover for genocide or anything like that, but also more of a. It was a great test. It was a great test to see how much we're allowing them to get away with, but we used to not.
I don't know, man. Any of us that played the Division, if you ever played the Division, you got a lot of red flags from the initial opening, and I'm like, 100%. Hey, man.
You being my cousin, you'll understand this more than anything. Felicia and Kristen.
Can I deny that?
I know, right? My aunt and my other cousin.
I fact checked that.
They both went at me. They both went at me over the whole thing. They thought I was going to become a bioterrorist. Like literal word for word. That's how they used it. And I was just like, I'm sorry, and maybe perhaps I have played too much Resident Evil in my life, but when doctors start telling you to do things against your will and telling you to inject things into your arm, it doesn't usually go well. And it's like, I don't know. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then they had that hard stance, like, you're going to put the ones you care about in danger. You'd be willing to kill the ones around you just for your point. And I'm like, I'm willing to test it. Yeah.
No, if the vaccine worked, then it wouldn't matter if I took it or not. It's my risk to take. It's my risk to take. If I want to die, that's my choice.
Exactly.
Now, it's not like I'm going out trying to kill myself, but I just don't believe in your argument there. I believe my body is strong enough to handle the virus, if you will.
Yeah, like that's why I never understood. Like they're like, oh, push the vaccine. It's like, as far as I'm aware, whenever I went and got a vaccine for fucking chickenpox, I didn't get chickenpox again after that. I literally went without chickenpox because that's how a vaccine's supposed to work. So whenever everybody got the vaccine, then cool, you're good. Your mindset's fine. You're not going to get COVID again. What the fuck are you scared of? For those that are unvaccinated, that they're going to die, then they'll fuck them. Like in that mindset, it's like, sure, that's Darwinism then. Yeah, that's their choice. You know what? Go ahead. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. Yeah, oh yeah, it's all my body, my choice for fucking for the women's activist rights. It was huge for that. But then when it came to, they're like, that's not the same. And I was like, medically, it's exactly the same. It's 100% the same. I get to make my choices so long as they don't affect somebody else. Now, everybody, government programs and everything, go get the vaccine. You get it for free. Just go here and get it. Get it. Then go get it if that's what you want to do. Yeah, and if enough people had it, why was it still being so widely spread? Quotations. I actually made a video on Facebook about this, where Joe Biden said that, basically he fumbled over his words, but basically over half of the United States had been vaccinated. There were so many doses that were out there, so it's like, okay, if a majority are vaccinated, then what are you worried about? Why are we still taking these controls? Why are we putting these controls into place where people can't live their normal lives? Yeah, if you're that scared of something you can't see, well, I'll tell you what, you better wear a helmet when you go outside because a meteor could drop on your head at any time. You never know. You never know. If you're don't drive a car. You know how many people die in a car? Don't drink alcohol. You know how many people die from alcohol? You know how many people die from all these substances? What are we doing to stop them from doing those substances? So just wipe us all out in humanity because everything is dangerous. Life is dangerous. Yeah. And the biggest problem that I had with that and the vaccine, right, and the whole, like, what are you worried about? This, that, and the other. One of the problems that I definitely had with the whole thing was the fact that most jobs are saying, oh, yeah, you need to get the mandatory vaccine or you can't work here. There was a lot of jobs really pushing for that. Walmart was one of the biggest ones at the time that was saying, you will be required to get a vaccine working for us. I quit a job as soon as they told us that they were going to do mandatory, mandate it, right? And it was like, that went away so fucking fast. If it was that important, that stigma wouldn't have, or that requirement would not have went away within a year.
When I went back to work, they tried to tell me that it was mandatory that it was a condition of employment that I got the vaccine. Now,
Yeah.
I'm a smart cookie. I do my research, and I'm not taking the vaccine. And I checked it out on the government websites, and Congress had not passed the mandatory requirement. So they tried to lie to me and tell me that it was a condition of employment. And when I said, well, wait a second, I saw here on this .gov website that they said it's not a requirement because Congress hasn't approved that. And sure enough, the lady went and did her research, came back and goes, well, you're right, actually. So you don't have to get it.
Yeah.
But it may become a condition of employment later, which is what the bill was in Congress.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, then I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Exactly. It became more of an agenda than an actual mandate, and they didn't realize it at the time. And what was really annoying to me about that is because, like, the whole thing about going away, like, when we're all kids, we all get immunization shots. Dogs, when you first get them, you get them their first shots, right? So that, they don't contract these diseases. As like, if COVID and coronavirus was that big of that prevalent, even to this day, that would have been added to the list of immunization shots that you have to get. It's not. Yeah, they were trying, but like they couldn't. There's not enough behind it. It's because it did not have the same foundation as the rest of them did.
Yeah, like ultimately, with the whole like virus things and like everybody's fear on that. To me, it's just a fear of living. At the end of the day, it's just a fear of living. There's not really any other way to put it. You want to live your life, but now you're worried you can't live it because of something you haven't had.
Something you can't see or really prove exists. You have to go to the doctor, and the doctor says, oh, you have it. And then a placebo is one hell of a drug. Placebo is wild. You tell somebody they're sick, and they believe you, and they think that they're going to start not feeling so good. It's wild how I don't get sick very often because I don't believe in that stuff. I really don't. Sure, sometimes I feel crappy and stuff, but that's just part of life. There isn't a single person who has lived an entire life and never been sick once.
I've always attributed.
If they want to be a lab rat for these vaccines, if they want to be a lab rat for that stuff, they can do it. I'll take my risks.
I always attributed it to like my immune system just needing a break. That's the way I always kind of consider it. It's like those moments where I get real bad sick, it's just because my immune system just like, you know what, I'm a little tired right now. I'm going to kick back in about a week, but right now you're going to have to stick this out kind of thing, No,
see, like your immune system's actually just kind of like the floodgates where it's like you're not getting any farther than this. This is your stopping point. You're going to leak out of here as mucus, as some sort of nasty. But going back to the vaccines, the thing that I found interesting about the vaccine is how hard they pushed it early on. And the interesting thing is I was my own experiment. So I was like, you know what? I'm not getting this. I'm just going to hold off on it. A lot more of my friends started pressuring me to get it. And I was like, nope, not going to happen. And then it was interesting because once my mom started chemo, her immune system was gone. So she had no immune system. That they still said COVID was still active. I didn't have my vaccine. You're not going to keep me from my mother because of this or that. So it was like I had to make the choice of go see my mom or quarantine myself from her because she has no immune system. I'm going to put your systems to the check and go see my mom. She's had chemo for 2 years now, still going. So it's to me, I just look at this COVID and the whole vaccine thing, and I'm like, either my immune system is strong enough that I haven't gotten it and haven't given it, or it's either it's gone or I just haven't caught it yet. It's just a whole weird. And she's anti-vax too. She doesn't have the vaccine. She doesn't want it. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, I could definitely relate to that, literally on a personal level, just with our grandmother, because I had already pretty much, the man she was with was already pushing us out of her life as much as he possibly could, sheltering her, or just keeping her indoors and never let her really do anything. And that was hard enough on its own, but when the COVID thing started, it seemed a lot like that was like his golden ticket. Because now he gets to use this against us. He gets to play this guilt card on us. And there is moments where I'm literally looking at my grandmother through a glass door out of the fear he has put into her over something that I've yet to encounter, that I have no proof exists to this day. Now being, 2-3 years out of this. And it's just really interesting that so many people allowed that type of thing to happen to their families.
Well, people put a lot of faith into doctors, and the only people who have been really big about the COVID stuff, whenever I was dealing with people who were talking about it, whenever I was talking how I didn't really believe it that much, like, sure, it may exist, but I don't think it's as big of a threat as they say it is. They were people who went, oh, I know somebody who died from COVID. I know somebody who had COVID, blah, blah, blah. And, well, how do you know you have COVID? You go get tested from a doctor, somebody you're supposed to trust. So that's what I love what you said earlier about, it's a prod to see how far they can go, how much they can get people to believe them. And that's how they did it. The people who go to doctors and believe them, they propagate that information about how it's so bad, this and that. But I remember a lot of news cycles that went through. I remember a lot of people talking about how, when people were dying, since the government was giving aid to places who had people that died of COVID, of quote unquote COVID, well, what's to say this person didn't just have a heart attack, but this doctor wants that money. He wants that money from the government because that's easy money. All he's got to do is say, hey, they died from COVID. They could fake any of that. And once again, it goes back to the whole money thing. It goes back to money. They want money. That's what they want. When I go to the doctor, they do nothing for me. Nine times out of 10, when I've been to the doctor, whenever I actually felt ill, go back home, and if you're still not feeling well in a week, come back and talk to us. Oh, by the way, that'll be $200. Oh, by the way, that it'll be money. Give me money, and then we're not going to do anything for you, and then come back later. And then what happens every time? You end up feeling fine.
Yeah, on the whole nobody trusting doctors, like in 2021. In December, I actually got, sort of my household. One of us had it, and he brought it home from a family function, and then I got it. And I remember, I just started a new job, and I got so down and out sick. I was horrible. I was just slept all day. I just felt like crap. I felt like I got hit by a truck. Funny enough, it was on the 1st, so it just everyone thought I was just hungover, from a New Year's Eve party. But so I went and got tested. I was like, oh, whatever, let's go get tested. And it was, if it's COVID, and then went and got tested. They had these strips that they have shipped and manufactured to them that'll just basically just say yes, no. And based off that, then they still send your results off site wherever you got tested at, whatever hospital you were at, still got sent off somewhere else, unbeknownst to what facility that you got. You didn't get told. It didn't come back in any of the paperwork because I looked at it because I want to know where it got sent off to. Didn't have any of that. But then the results come back and said, yeah, positive. From what site? What source? What source told me? Where did you send my swabs that said, yes, you have COVID? What facility? What?
I think a lot of it has to do with insurance. When I broke my foot about 7 months ago, I broke my foot. And I went to the doctor. They x-rayed it, whatever. And I was ready to pay for all of it up front. I have insurance, so they should know how much these things are. When I went to the front desk, I said, hey, how much do I owe you? Oh, we'll send you a letter. We'll send you a bill in the mail.
Yeah.
And they do that because they don't know what to charge you yet. They want to argue with your insurance because that's what insurance does. They negotiate with insurance. So you never get to know what it really cost. And so that's what they do. They negotiate with insurance and try to get the most they can get out of it. And then they send you something based off of that. And I think that's awful silly because we never get to see how much it really costs. So what's not to say you went in and got 3 x-rays and then they argued with your insurance company and your insurance company said, okay, we'll give you $600 for that. And they go, okay, cool, we'll take it. And then my insurance company said, okay, we'll give you $1,000 for that. Let's say I got the same thing that you did.
Yeah.
And my insurance company said, okay, we'll give you $1,000 for that. Because nobody truly knows what any of this costs. It's a big negotiation thing. And I want to get away from that because I think it's the silliest stuff in the world. It's goofy. Because I want to know what it costs. Tell me what it costs. I'm happy to pay you, but I don't want it to be up in the air.
Well, that's why our healthcare is the biggest joke in the world at the moment.
Oh yeah, insurance is a sham.
Yep.
It's the weirdest stuff in the world. Just tell me what it costs, because you know what the operating costs are. You know how much it costs. Don't try to sit here and tell me you don't, because if you didn't, you wouldn't try to get the most out of it that you could. But you're greedy. You're greedy, and you want to get as much as you can out of it. Instead of charging one thing, you're going to go argue with an insurance company saying, oh, no, you better do this. You better give us this much. And then they negotiate. It's absolutely wild how much they try to hide behind stuff so that way they can get the most out of it. And it's really sad. I think it's absolutely sad.